Okay.
So pull up the questions real fast. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Fuck, we'll start that over again. Ladies and gentlemen, today we have a very, very special guest on Culinary Anarchy, writer and director of SLC Punk, James Merendino. I do apologize if I'm mispronouncing your last name.
No, that's right. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Merendino. Yeah. It's
Merendino. See, I always try to do that, and I butcher names so easily. So, now, you do have a couple of other projects that a lot of people don't know about, but we'll get into that in a minute. First off, who would win in a fight between the Teletubbies and the Care Bears?
Oh, I don't know. I guess I don't know because like I don't really know those. I mean, Teletubbies are more surreal to me. So I would want them to win. So it'd be more of a desire for them to beat, rather than like knowing who's actually tougher. I don't know their stats. I don't know their hit point. I don't know any of that. I don't know any of that.
There are no right answers to a question like that. Teletubbies have always just creeped me the fuck out, so that's why I had to ask. Now, next question, a little bit more serious. What was the album that kind of turned you on and turned you into a punk?
I guess it was When the Shit Hits the Fan. I think that's the album that turned right. It's the Circle Jerks. Is it?
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go find that album again now.
I mean, like, I don't know if it's the name of the album. I just know that it's the song that it's like, yeah. When the Shit Hits the Fan. Yeah.
So,
I mean, because I was really young. I was 12, I think, when I heard it. So, and I was like, what the hell, man? Like, they were saying things that you're not supposed to say, and I thought that was, I mean, it was, I didn't think they could do that in songs. So, yeah, I would say it's that. I mean, like, and it's weird because I didn't even know who it was. I was this kid. I was 12 years old. I had a stereo in my house, and I was supposed to go on this field trip with these older, in the band, and I was in the marching band. So these older guys wanted me to put on tape a bunch of albums, and that was one of them. So I was like, that's how I was I was exposed to them.
The classic 80s mixtape. I love it. I love it. I love it. Now, do you think that the term punk has been watered down and commercialized, or do you think that kind of attitude leads to a sense of gatekeeping?
I mean, ask me again then. What's the question?
Do you think that the term punk has been watered down and overused?
Oh, wait, the album's called the Golden Shower of Hits.
Golden Shower of Hits.
Of course it is. And it's got like the urinal. So yeah.
I remember that album.
Yeah. It's got, I think that's it. Yes, it has a urinal with a bunch of symbols in it. Yeah. And the song is When the Shit Hits the Fan. And if you remember the movie Repo Man, they do a jazz cover of it, and it's fantastic. It's like they do like a doo-wop jazz cover of it while they're like live while they're in this place. Yeah.
I've seen the movie. I know the scene you're talking about, and I never put two and two together.
Yeah, Circle Jerks on stage saying like "When the shit hits the fan." Yeah, it's hysterical.
Now that's definitely on my list. Now, get back to the other question though. Do you think that the term punk has been overused and watered down?
I think it's been misunderstood a lot. I think people use it to in weird ways. I think a lot of fascists use it to justify their fascist sort of points of view. Sometimes I don't know why. It's come this catch-all term, I guess, to mean anti-establishment, and that's fine. I mean, I guess it is in a way, but I don't know. I don't think that I don't know that it's overused. I mean, I think it's just been usurped by a lot of people and applied to things that aren't punk. I mean, like across the board, like they'll say anything is punk rock. Like they'll say that conservatives is the new punk, or they'll say that Target is the new punk place to shop, or they'll say, like they'll say like, Rupert Murdoch is punk rock. Like I don't like, which makes no sense. Like they say that I've literally heard somebody say, "Oh yeah, Rupert Murdoch's so punk rock." Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like what? What part of that fucking 90-year-old creepy fuck is punk rock? I don't like. So I hear it used in context and in places, and I'm not just saying with right wing stuff. I know that that's in my head right now, but like they say it, applying it to all kinds of crazy shit. Like it just like, oh, that's so like in that sense, because like I think like originally like it just sort of was garage band stuff that sort of emerged as sort of like the ethos of punk was in terms of or the style of punk from a musical point of view was sort of like avoiding overproduced progressive rock. Like that that's sort of where it's to me like that. If you know what I mean, like when I talk to like Durwood from Generation X, who's an old friend of mine, he'll say that we just punk is just we just wanted to play rock and roll that didn't sound overproduced. So I don't know, like so it's gotten pretty far away from that. I think.
Fair enough. I dig that. And the reason I ask that is, I kind of feel the same way with the term Zen. Everything's been, it's Zen.
Yeah, everything's Zen too.
And it's like that has literally nothing to do with it. And it's funny though, because when we talk about that attitude of punk, I've always viewed it as, people that are fighting against the odds and figuring out a way to do it themselves. You got these guys in a band that want to make a record. They figured out a way to take a 4-track and make a fucking record and get it to the masses and do that. And then I'm looking at these kids at the protests currently, and they're not wearing Doc Martens and they don't have blue mohawks. But as far as I'm concerned, they're punk as fuck, and I couldn't be prouder of them because it's like, okay, who gives a shit what albums you're listening to? You're still practicing the foundation of what I consider to be punk, because you're making your voices heard, you're taking action, you're fighting oppression. And that's why, you and I deal with a lot of the same idiots on social media and the fascists that have adopted it, like you were saying. And it's like, no, that's why that dude got his ass handed to him and got walked out in Vegas. And that's why we've had this controversy in Denver.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, and I know what you're talking about. Like, you're talking about the guy that was kicked out for wearing the Nazi shirt. Yeah.
That was an entertaining one.
I mean, like, I always thought that it was just punk is an umbrella term for a place that you could go when I was young. That I because I was like I was a very androgynous, weird kid, right? So, I was safe there. I mean, like I was like just safe, and no one gave a shit about me as long as I wasn't being an asshole.
Exactly.
So and you didn't have to dress any specifically. You were not required to dress any specific way. I didn't know many people with mohawks. They just dressed. Most of the guys were just t-shirts. I mean, like, or whatever. I mean, or they did dress flamboyantly, or they did go in punk drag, or they did whatever. Like, it didn't really matter much, like it's just whatever you could put together at your home. I mean, I remember I was at a show, and in the bathroom, the guy's some like very conservative looking guy in a Izod t-shirt grabbed this huge safety pin and is like just put it through his cheek like that, and I was like, well, that guy just did that, like. So I don't know, like I just think it was a sort of form of expression where you could be accepted, especially like in Salt Lake. It's so like, I was exposed to just a lot of very, very harsh judgment for not being a Mormon, in those public schools. And then when I started going to Catholic school, I didn't fit in with those guys entirely. So then there was this whole scene, and they were like, "We don't give a fuck. We don't give. You come if you want. Don't come if you don't want." Like that's kind of what it was like. So anyway, that's what I think about it.
No, I mean, I am digging your perspective on this because, again, I mean, because a lot of this stuff, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, comes out and is reflected in the movie because a lot of the main characters, Jason Segel's character, for example, looks like a nerd. And yet he was a big part of the scene. And that kind of, we don't give a shit. We care about who you are as a person more so than your fashion aesthetic and that kind of attitude. And, Yeah, you grew up in Salt Lake City. I grew up in Virginia, which is Southern Baptist. And so kind of the same exact deal as far as why I got attracted to it. We'll talk
Right.
about that in a second. But first off, I want to know, how do you take your hot dog?
Like what I put on it?
Yeah.
Mustard, onions. I like the bun to be toasted. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I think.
Simplicity. I love it.
Yeah, yeah. There's some good places in New York for hot dogs. There's some really good places here in town.
Now, before we talk about SLC Punk, let's talk about your show, Great Kills. Now, for people who haven't seen it, you're missing out. And I hope you understand that I say this with utmost respect, but the show is kind of like a bastard child between The Sopranos and the Trailer Park Boys. And I've seen a couple episodes. I'm looking forward to definitely binge watching it.
Yeah.
But I want to know, how did you come up with this idea?
Okay, well, I mean, okay, so years ago, I had just moved to New York, and I was talking to this guy who was the star of the movie.
Yeah.
And my sister and I, or Lisa and I were, who's in it. We were like talking to him about like what could we make for cheap, and we thought we'd make a mockumentary, and like he kind of reminded us of like a hitman, like but like a dumb one. So we made a movie called The Invisible Life of Thomas Lynch, which I mean, like it's definitely like its roots are. I mean, it's not the. I mean, like yes, there's Portrait of a Serial Killer, like that's definitely like a movie that is inspired this idea, like. I mean, I don't know if I ripped it off. Like some people might say, "Oh, you ripped off the idea," but I mean, like it's just it's a mockumentary. Like I just thought, like it'd be funny to make a mockumentary about a hitman that sucks. Like
yeah, no, and it comes off with the same level of heart. It doesn't look polished. It looks very real, and that kind of brings me to my next question: is how does it feel being in front of the camera in this situation when throughout the rest of your career you've been the guy behind the camera? What's that like for you?
Well, so when we ended up doing this series years later, he came back to me and said, "Let's do a series out of Thomas Lynch, the movie that won it." Because we went at CMJ, we did okay. So I was like, okay, but like we have no money, so not having any money, then okay, so then I'll just sort of and like I realized that like, okay, so when you make a movie, you're supposed to control the environment as much as you can, so that you even build on a set. Every single person there is hired. The extras, every person in frame is hired. In this situation, I had no money, so I thought like, well, let's not do it. Let's do the opposite and control nothing. And so I just give me. I don't even give you fucking dialogue. We'll just go into the world. Get me the locations. I'll have a rough idea of like what's going to happen in each scene, and then I will. And then the only way I can think of how to direct that is to just throw questions, until I got real responses, and we got and then I realized the only way comedy is going to come out of this is if I start just being a dick, and that Lisa and I just sort of be like, so that we're worse than he is, and so it's sort of like evolved into that. So then like. I mean, I say a lot more than you see in the show just to get performances. I'm just like, it's just like when you ask enough questions, people just start thinking, they forget that they're acting and they start doing stuff.
Yeah.
And if I if I ask asshole questions, then like some funny things can happen. So, so as a result, that's how I ended up in it. It was really just to save money, like, and to be able to direct it in a way that I could create it to look real. And also then to create an antagonist like that's clearly I'm the antagonist in that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm definitely an asshole. Like like the hitman's the good guy.
Well, and people can find this on Amazon. I think that I think you're going to get.
Well, they can go to. It's on Tubi too, and
okay,
so it's free. It's free on Tubi.
Oh, sweet. Okay, definitely plug your material here. That's what you're here to do, man. So.
Yeah, and then like season 2 is going to come out September 1st.
Sweet.
And again, like these were kind of just come out of COVID, so we really didn't spend any money making these things. And we did them pretty quick. I don't know. The second season, I actually put Eric Roberts in it, and we put Bai Ling, But I mean, Eric Roberts is playing Eric Roberts. So I mean, the conceit of the story is that this hitman is terrible, but he's a good guy, and we're just awful. The first season ends, and whatever, he does what he does, and so we come back a year later, and he's like, "Why aren't I famous?" Like, which is ridiculous because he'd be in jail if he was famous. And we're like, "Because no one thought it was realistic." And he caught the bug from us, so now he's producing a movie. And in season 2, and he's producing a movie, and he hired Eric Roberts, or he's financing Eric Roberts movies with his hit money. So Eric Roberts is doing his directorial debut for this hitman.
Oh, this is going to be great.
And he's hysterical. And then Kathy Moriarty plays this sort of mob boss. Kathy was in Raging Bull. I mean, like, Kathy was in Analyze That. I think she was in Casper. She's great. And then he's dating Bai Ling, like specifically the actress Bai Ling. Like so he went all Hollywood.
No, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Bai Ling was also the chick from The Crow. She was dating the bad guy in that. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that I had the correct.
Yeah, she's in Lost and stuff. Yeah, she's really big. Anyway, like, I mean, we couldn't afford like huge actors, but they're good. Like, they're funny.
Yeah, no, I mean, Eric Roberts, dude, that's dude from Best of the Best, man. That's another one of my childhood classics, right?
Yeah,
there,
I mean, like, he does everything. Like, let's be honest. But I mean, like, he'll like the way to get him in your movies is to ask him. But I mean, but like in this, so it's because he's playing himself, and at a certain point, I tell him, like, but you suck. Like, I am such an asshole. Like, it's crazy. So I don't know. It's pretty funny. And then like at a certain, I mean, like, I guess I don't want to give it away, but we do. He shoots and kills Eric Roberts, and then I say, like, did you just kill Eric Roberts?
See, the good news is I'm stoned, so I totally won't remember this.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like, it's not like it's a mystery. It's the show is like a wreck. Yeah, I mean, come on, that show's a wreck. I mean, like, you've seen it. It's
yeah, but I mean, that's why
it's a mess. They're like, guys, that guy. Remember in the store? And I don't know if you got to. It's the first episode. This dude walks into the camera and he's like, "You guys would have a ball." This like very heavy New York accent guy. Yeah. We're in the bagel shop. He just walked into the camp. I mean, yeah. I mean, then we just let him roll. Like, none of these guys are like, we just let people come into our scenes and stuff.
That's to me. That's
and then like, and another part of it is like, okay, the sound guy, right? So this is how low budget and how fucked up the show was. I had to incorporate poor quality into the show. So, for instance, our sound guy was a PA. And I told him, here, hold this mic and be the sound guy, right? And I didn't explain it enough to him, and he was kind of not really connecting to the young guy. And he was like, okay, I'm really shy. And he's holding the mic, and I'm constantly like berating him. I'm constantly saying, like, you suck. What is wrong? Get the fucking sound. Are you gonna mic it? I mean, I will not stop fucking with this guy. And at a certain point, like, he was really kind of like feeling like, he comes up to me, he's like, is there something that I can do to make it better? So that because like you seem like you're never happy. And I'm like, oh no, dude, that's a prop mic. We didn't have sound. You're in the movie. I'm so sorry. Did you think I was, oh my God, no. You're in it. I'm not mad at you at all. You're doing a great job being in the movie. God. And it still didn't. And finally hit him like, you mean I'm an actor? Like, yeah, you're a character. You're not. There's no sound on that thing. You're just in the shots because I need to make fun of something. Because I want to explain why our sound's so bad.
I would have loved to have been there and watching the light bulbs start to brighten up over his head when he's going, wait a second. Connecting the dots. Yeah, he was like, and of course, by the end of that episode, he's dead, right? He gets in the way of and gets tased and he dies, right? And then and even though I was just horrible to this guy, from then on, I'm like, I miss that guy, and I never get his name right. Like, he's a running joke, but he was so funny. He was so sweet about it. Like, he was like, he just came very sheepishly and was like, I just don't want to just do a bad job. I was like, I'm the worst. I should have, because we were moving really fast.
I should have. I thought I explained it, but I guess he didn't
No,
understand.
but that's how you get the best performance. That's why it's
Yeah.
so authentic right there.
Yeah,
Because
but I mean, it's still
literally,
we're having fun. I don't want a poor guy to like feel bad. You know?
yeah, I mean, as long as he was able to laugh at it after the fact,
Oh, he definitely
like,
laughed. He thought
you
it was.
know,
He was really
that's
happy. Also, he was relieved that I wasn't mad at him. I was like,
oh
no,
yeah, of course.
dude, you're a star, man. I was telling him like you're like this episode, this episode, this the pilot of the show. You are the star. And in the end, I made a tribute video of him dying. And I posted it on the internet. Like you can find it where like it's this tribute to Dan, Pat, Rick, who died in service of the industry. So like it was like, and that's like that is something that happened in, I think I probably was in my head because it was in. I mean, I honestly was using it as a way just to explain why we had bad sound, but I do think that they might have been. And Man Bites Dog killed their sound guy too. I think it's just an obvious thing you would do if you're shooting a movie and you're following and that in Man Bites Dog, it's a serial killer. He's not a hitman, but like I think it's organic that you would kill the sound guy no matter what. If you decide to make a mockumentary about the mob, you're gonna kill your sound guy. Like it's a funny thing to do. Like
it's a side character that's disposable. I mean, it makes sense to use him as a prop like that. I don't blame you, and I mean anybody would do that. So
yeah.
Now, let's talk about SLC Punk because obviously that is your best known work. And obviously things go through revisions. How much of the original script or story did you have to compromise on? And was there anything in the original story that you wish you could have kept in the film?
Well, I wrote the script. We shot the script that I wrote, and then I had to add a German actor, so I added that Till Schweiger stuff. That's the only thing I added. And then a producer suggested, hey, maybe you want to add a scene where we see how all this started. And I was like, okay, yeah. I did the D&D thing. Otherwise, like I got a lot of creative freedom. So if there's anything that is lacking in that movie, it's my failure as a director. It's not in the material. So if it's like, I think that there's some scenes that are weak, and honestly, I made that movie. I was trying to make a movie so at that time, I keep starting this over. At that time, I was like 28. I'm a young filmmaker, right? I had already made 7 movies, so I started when I was 22, something like that. Anyway, I was known in festival circuits, right? Yeah. So it was like old people were watching my movies, and I was like assuming that this movie would also just go to festivals and old people would watch it. But I thought in this particular instance, I was going to say, like, well, these old people don't understand what punks were. They keep talking about it's like, or the community is like, they're the guys that have knives and subways that slash your throat and assault women, right? And they kept showing it in movies, even in like Terminator. Bill Paxton is a punker, and I mean they're the bad guys. Yeah. Right. So I was like, that's not what punks are. Like, what I mean? Like so I thought I would just broadly explain in a movie to those old people that went to festivals what punk rock was about in the broadest way and simplest terms, to the point to where I literally have a guy look into the camera and say, this is who we are. This is what we did. Broadly, generally speaking, so there's no really good in that movie. Like, don't go to it if you want to understand anarchy, because it's not there. Don't go to it if you want to understand. I never expected it to be released or to be seen on a large scale, and I certainly didn't expect punks to watch it, because if I had, I would have been mortified. I would have been, oh no, this is going to be fucking. I'm going to get curb stomped for this, because they're going to, say, what the fuck does this guy know about? Like, he's asserting what punk is. You don't do that. You don't make assertions about punk rock in a movie, coming from Hollywood or independent or whatever. You just do your thing. And I was like, I was young. My audience were these old people. I was like trying to say, I'm just trying to make an argument. Like, look, we're not like evil like murderers. That's what I was doing.
Well, and I never took that. I never took that from the movie that you were trying to assert this is what punk is or trying to define it. I got what you were trying to say as far as like just trying to broadly explain and give a voice to the scene. But I never took that you were, like I said, asserting anything coming from, I mean, I was 19 when that came out. I was living in Virginia, which is almost as bad as Salt Lake City. Not a big scene, but that's what I took away from it is, oh, if there's a punk scene in SLC, then there's a scene out here in Richmond and da-da-da-da-da. And it's, it's not this stereotype that you hear about. This makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because what you showed was a representation of me and my friends at the time that wasn't shown anywhere else. Does that,
Yeah. I mean, like there was, I don't know that. I mean, I'm sure there are other movies that show in small towns there were punk scenes, but I don't know if like that it was that specific. But it does like explain it's like I was saying, like, look, we're everywhere, and we're just trying to figure shit out. And then of course, like my personal biases are there. I'm not a soapboxer, so I didn't make a very strong statement. A lot of times people misinterpret what I was. The movie has a lot to do with class.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think some people think that I mistakenly am like saying that, Steve-O is. I made him rich and get away with shit because I acknowledge that there's a class issue in this world, and that he was being like Bob was murdered, right? Like they murdered him. They falsely gave him what they called aspirin, and it was if he'd been a rich kid, they all would have been in jail.
Yeah.
Maybe he would have been missing, like, I don't know, manslaughter, but like they would have been in jail.
Yeah.
They would have been prosecuted for that. But like, because he was a poor kid, he dies. And then his best friend, he has the luxury of being able to leave, so like I was, and like up until that time, and I've sort of mellowed out by then, but like because my movies were very nihilistic. I was very angry then, and my movies are all nihilistic. So, and I just was making another movie where I had an unhappy ending. And if you watch all my movies prior to that, you'll see that I kill my protagonist every time. So like that movie's not a happy ending. Like it's like I'm a little bit critical of Steve-O. I'm like, but it was like, but like people have then since taken that, half of people saying like, well, he sold out. I'm like, yeah, I guess. Though I do imagine him as a lawyer. Maybe he went and he represented. I would hope he represented like pro bono under people who are being screwed over by the system, like, and not, corporate interests. But, he did have that, like he could go to Harvard. He didn't have to stick around and deal with the grief and the trauma of his friend being dead. So I don't know, like, I don't know that, and then some people say like, well, but that helped me realize, like when he says that, I'm just a poser, which I think everyone I was always saying like, that's just sort of like what, I don't know. Everyone is sort of a poser in a way. But
Absolutely.
But like, he was like that. He said he could do more damage inside the system and outside the system. I don't know. Like some people took away that like they said like that part saved my life because now I have I realized I didn't have to like stay on the streets. I could go do something and still be genuine. I don't know. I people are going to take away. I no longer have any right to decide what people take away from that movie. Like, I don't think I ever had the right to do that. I just didn't know. Like when I was making it, what would have, I wasn't like, again, like I had like, I had a different idea of who the audience was. So things get weird when that happens.
Yeah, no, that definitely, it reinforces a lot about how I've always felt about the movie, but it's interesting to see that when you were writing and directing the movie and you were envisioning the audience in the theater watching it, it wasn't going to be, kids making copies of it on VHS and passing them around.
Definitely
it
not.
was, people that could afford to go to fucking film festivals, what I'm
it
saying?
was critics and film critics and old people that go to like Sundance and stuff. Like I thought it was going to be like those people. And I thought they would, and then I could get on stage and say, you old people, you boomers, you baby boomers, you hippies, your time is over. This is our time. I literally was saying that in the speeches, like, yeah,
Oh my God.
at
That would make
Sundance.
it
This is
hilarious.
our time. At Cannes Film Festival. This movie is about. It's not about your dumb wars and your dumb like whatever. Like like, and it's so funny because now I am the old guy, But like that, I was definitely like standing up there like yelling at the audience because I thought, and then Sony said like this, we're taking that movie. This is great, and so they put it out, and they thought the kids would like it, and I was like, I don't know.
And we did. We did.
I was a lot of hand wringing, but yeah,
Now, Matthew Lillard, obviously the protagonist, how much did he know about the punk scene prior to filming? How much did you have to did you have to explain anything to him during filming where there's certain terms or things like that?
I don't know. I mean, like when he came in, he said that he wasn't really a punk or didn't know much, didn't really care or wasn't really into the scene. But I mean, I think at heart he was and is. I don't like because like this just doesn't. Because no, of course not. I didn't have to explain it. He's playing a human, and he connected to that guy. Like, and he wouldn't do. I mean, I auditioned a lot of people, but like when you audition people, that doesn't mean they're necessarily going to do it. You still have to ask them to do it, and then they still decide if they're going to do it. So it's more of like just testing each other. And when he decided to do it, it's because he felt like he connected to the character, and so like I didn't have to explain anything to him. Like he got it. Like I mean, like I definitely like would explain what's happening in the scene, and where we are emotionally and where it needs to go. And I mean, for instance, like before the end of the movie, there's this scene where, Bob dies. And right before that, I mean, because Matthew was very much concerned about that scene, like, because I didn't write what he's supposed to do. I just said he walks down, sees his friend, and kneels by his and feels that he's dead, and that's it. And he's like, "Am I supposed to cry?" I said, "Don't worry, don't have to do anything." I kept saying that from day one, but I knew that he would eventually. I would want him to do more. So when we were coming up to that scene, I realized two things. One, I was missing a scene where he actually really berated Bob, and I needed to see him get angry, and see that there's like he's pulling away. So I just had them improvise this scene where he says, "Jesus Christ, fit and landed here. This is in my home." That whole thing, and also because he's friends with Michael Gorgon, I wanted him to get really mad at Michael. Mm-hmm. So the very next scene we did, like 10 minutes later, the turnaround was really quick. I would put Bob just in the makeup and put him in the thing, and then he'd come down and see him dead, so that he would feel that guilt and he'd be all hyped up with emotion, and then he'd come down, and I thought that would help him, because that's all you're there to do is help, right? And then I would just rolled for 10 minutes when he comes down and just let him, like internalize what he's looking at, and he delivered like what I think is an amazing moment. Like I was lucky to have been able to capture something like that. In fact, when I saw it on the monitor, I was like, "Oh, this is an amazing moment. I'm probably not going to get another one like this. Ever again." Like it was very honest, and it's hard to, because it's hard. Those death scenes are hard to be honest about. Like usually you go no, whatever, like it was he did it. So yeah.
Now, on a slightly lighter note, help settle a long-standing bet that I've had with a friend of mine. Was Devin method acting during the acid scene?
He wasn't on acid.
Okay. Shit. You just cost me $20, but we got it from the director. So,
but I mean, like, I'm not really allowed. Look, Devin's a good friend of mine, and I'm going to work with him again probably very soon, actually. But no, he was not on acid.
Okay. Like I said, long-running joke between friends of mine and I. No disrespect intended to him.
No, the thing about him, though, is that he plays paranoid really well. I mean, even in Final Destination, he plays it very well.
Oh, his little beady eyes in that scene were,
Well, also, like, I think that he might have, as a younger guy, he might have, I don't know. I think that he maybe, I don't know. I mean, you'd have to ask him what his state of mind was. But he was not on acid. He was not on any like acid or anything like that. Cocaine or drugs or like that. No, he was not on anything. Nothing like that.
Okay, now final question about that movie in particular. If you were going to make it from scratch today, how would it be different?
Oh, I don't know. I think that I would tell a story. I think it would see, because now I'd be self conscious because now I know that, like, punks are gonna watch it. So I think I don't know that I would tell that story. I would
Okay.
probably, okay, but I would. There's this story that a short story that, again, I told you about this guy Durwood from Generation X, the
Yeah.
guitarist from Gen X. Um, he wrote a short story about the band he was in before he was in Billy Idol's band, like before Billy Idol asked him to be in Generation X.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing story, and it's a little punk rock story, and it's just like really honest, and they're just kids and they wanted to put together a gig. I would tell that story, like, like really simple story, like, and because it's pretty fascinating. It takes place in the '70s, and he said the people you had to watch out for were the fans of the Faces. They were the
Hmm.
really, like, nasty gangs, which is like, I had no idea that was a thing, but, like,
Yeah.
apparently, like, they would kick your ass. Fans of the Faces, right? Like, like,
Huh.
that band, right? The
I've
Faces.
heard of them.
Yeah, like, it's Rod Stewart's original band, right? So, like, they had hardcore fans. I guess that's what he's saying, that would kick his ass.
What?
I mean, because they were definitely like skinheads and these other types of, like, groups that were, some were cool, some weren't cool. I don't know, but, like, the Faces gangs were tough. So I just that and he himself spent the summer. He was a gardener at the palace. So like, when he was like 14 years old, at Buckingham Palace. So, like, the story is hysterical. And I would tell, like, a story like that, rather
Okay.
than, like, sort of grandstanding about, like, whatever I was grandstanding about in SLC Punk. I'd probably be a little more simple.
I would love to see that. Now, you've got or you're working on a documentary about the impact of SLC Punk. How
Yeah.
can folks get involved? Plug yourself, promote
Yeah, it's
yourself.
yeah, so it's just a documentary about, like, how a cult film, how they be what is the evolution of a cult film and how it becomes a cult film, and it really is a point of view of, like, fans, because fans are what make a movie into a cult film. And since, like, the only cult film I've been involved with is SLC Punk, that's the one I'm going to focus on. And there's a campaign, so I'm not doing it, like, really to make any money. Like, I'm doing it, like, so I got sponsors and stuff. I'm just doing it
Yeah.
like the way that you would put it on PBS. I'm doing it for posterity because, like, eventually all these people are going to be gone.
Yeah.
And I just feel like, I don't know. I want to hear some of the voices of people that were affected by the movie, and I want to enshrine that, and the music around it, and like, I want to see what the actors say about how it evolved, because, like, no one expected that movie to become a cult movie. So, like,
Yeah.
little niche cult movies, you can't. It's hard to predict if that's going to happen, right? Like, it's not Star Wars. It's a little tiny niche, but there's a scene. There's a whole community around it. So, like, I want to talk to them, and again, like, so I'm matching money that I raise in a fund, in a crowdfunding campaign.
All right.
So it's on my page,
Okay.
and it's on the SLC Punk's Dead page.
Okay.
It's easy enough to find, and if you want to contribute, like, you just $1, $10, and like whatever, and then I just match it, because, like, that's and it's gonna take a while, because documentaries take a while to make.
Oh, yeah, of course. Well, and that's why I'm going to make sure to provide links to all of those pages to make sure that people know how to get involved, because I want to see this thing get made.
Yeah, I mean, like, I want to, like, like, there's, like, some people have interesting stories, and it's, of course, it's going to take a life of its own, but, like, some people will tell you that movie saved my life, and then other people
Yeah.
will say that movie's the worst. It was terrible. I'll hear it all. I don't care. I just want to, like, get it down. I'm going to Salt Lake next month to talk to some of the old school people that actually were in the scene, like, not me, like, the
Yeah.
real, like, they were, because I'm a little younger than the people I'm talking about, or that not that, like, it's a documentary, but, like, their ages were older than me.
Yeah.
Like, I was like 12 in 1985 or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, not 12. I guess I was older, but I mean, like, is it 85 that it takes place? Yeah. So they've graduated from college.
Yeah.
No, I was still in high school. I was in 12, but I was like 16 or something like that. But I mean, like, so they were they're all graduated from college, so they're older, a little older than me, and those guys were around, and of course I'm influenced by some of those people, and so I want to talk to them and have their attitude as well about the movie, because like some of some are like dude, you didn't represent the scene correctly, and I'm like, okay, and some are like, doesn't matter, like, because like my argument is like it probably didn't really represent exactly what the scene was like in Salt Lake City, like nothing ever does.
Yeah.
Like I wasn't there with a camera documenting it. I was like telling a fiction afterward. But I try to explain to the people in Salt Lake that are like that, saying like it didn't represent it. Like, yeah, but like the before when I left Utah, people asked me mostly if I was a Mormon, if I came from Utah. After that, there are people now who'll say, there's a group of people, there's a subsection of people who will actually ask, oh yeah, you were to the punk scene in Salt Lake because of SLC Punk. So, so even if it didn't exactly, document exactly what happened in the scene precisely, it certainly like gave a voice to like all the other little scenes all over the world that and they can say like, well, wow, they did it in Utah, like
exactly.
So like to me, like being historically accurate wasn't really I was being broad and sort of, again, you know what I mean? So I want to like find out, I want to talk to those people as well and hear their opinion, and also like what they thought the scene was really about. But I really just want to hear what, how it affected people, like how it affected, how it affected and how it changed over the years. Because it has changed, it's changed. Like originally, punks don't come to something easily. Like they don't. It takes people a while to. If they're gonna like something, it takes them a while. They have to discover it. They have to feel like they discovered it.
Yeah,
I think. Like I don't think that like shoving something down their throat, packaging it Hot Topic is very much like something that punks gravitate to. Which was to my dismay when I saw that it was being sold at Hot Topic for a while in a leather case. No one ever asked me about that. I was like, whoa, dude, what is that? Oh, that's not good, man. Yeah. Anyway, whatever.
Well, like I said, I'm gonna make sure we put the links up on this video when I get it edited, make sure that people know how to support you now. Final question. What is your all-time favorite venue to see live music at?
Like a physical place? Like a specific place?
Yeah, any venue of your choice.
Well, God, there's a place here. There's a place in Brooklyn that I go see stuff. But my favorite of all time, my favorite venue was a stadium in Rome, just outside of Rome. It's a huge stadium. I forget what it's called, and it's in the new city. There's a new city that the fascists built that's just outside of Rome that Mussolini had built, called Aur, AUR. And at that place, to see any band play there, with like the Italian audience is so unbelievable. They really like just, I mean, it's just amazing. Like it was just like I saw. I think I saw. Was it U2? I saw U2 there, but it was like in the late '80s. So like it was so. Brian Eno had produced one of their records, and I'm a big fan of Brian Eno, and so he was there, and they put on this show. And like, I was not a huge YouTube fan, but like that show was unbelievable because of the audience. Like they were they hit Bono down by singing louder than him and and better, and he just stopped and let them sing the song. Like they were just, the audience was better. He was just like dumbfounded. Yeah.
Yeah, no, when you connect with an audience like that, and you've got, I've been to shows like that, and it's a powerful experience to see a massive amount of people connect like that and have that resonance.
Yeah, and they just so that's been my favorite. Because I think I saw like 10 shows there. So that's been my favorite. place. I just forget the name of it. It's just the big stadium in Rome.
Okay, real quick, I got to get the world's cheesiest selfie with you right here.
Oh,
make sure I get that to posterity. Now I'm gonna stop recording. Thank you so much, but I've got one more thing I want to ask you off camera. So let me stop the recording, or fuck it, I can just edit it out. I had a stoner idea. You can totally say no to this, but since you're doing this documentary, you're gonna go to Salt Lake City.